And we are live. Wait, Brittany, did you just mouth that and not say it?
I did, because I knew that was like, that's kind of your catchphrase at this point. So it's like, I just wait for you to say it.
But I thought we were having sound issues in my mind. I was like, no.
I'm so sorry.
I was like,
my bad,
we just started.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
We're going to give you guys a second to come in.
Yes, we're so excited.
Shout out to the homie Troy. She loved on her nieces and nephews, and they gave her a present. So she's down for the count today.
Yeah, she's not feeling her best, unfortunately, but we all know that as much as we love our, nieces, nephews, god kids, they will give you a cold real quick.
Every time. It's like, oh my God, auntie, I love you.
Yeah, get away from me.
Every time.
Now I'm dying. Yeah, no, they can't help it. Yeah. But we're so excited for today's topic and our special guest.
This is a Black Prose first. I'm very proud of us.
But before we introduce our special guest, we're just going to chat a little bit and kind of get warmed up, wait for you guys to come in. So how is everyone doing? How was your Monday?
It's rodeo season here in Houston. Haven't been to the rodeo yet, though.
Y'all talk about it every year, and every year I need an explanation of what this is.
Every year, Troy goes. Every year.
He does. Faithfully every year.
Troy is a faithful rodeo goer. I, however, tell myself I'm going to go on the Friday. The first Friday of the rodeo is like Black People Friday, essentially.
Oh, okay, nice.
Like even the concert is Black. Like I think this year was like Bun B and all those people.
Yeah.
I told myself I was going, didn't. And every single time I tell myself I'm going to go, by the time I actually have time to go, the rodeo's over. So
when was the last rodeo you went to?
I've never been to the rodeo. I know.
The way you said that.
In my old job, they always sent me on business trips in March.
Okay.
So I never got to go. And then now I'm like, oh, I'm going to go this year. I was supposed to go on Sunday, but I spent all day working in my yard.
For us non-Texans, and for me again for the 50th time since we've met, please explain what this is.
Okay. So you know how like there's a lot of places that do like county fairs?
Yeah.
So imagine the county fair, but add in like barbecue contests, chili contests, everything you could possibly think of when you think of like cowboys and rodeos, like horse wrangling, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
All of that, plus like the county fair aspect, and then every night there's a concert. Even though this year's concert lineups weren't really giving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do country, but like specific country.
Okay.
And then they usually trickle in some others of the different genres, but there weren't any good ones this year.
It sounds like a Nicholas Sparks plot in the making, but okay. It does.
I despise.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's like, I despise. I'm going to go. Like, I feel like maybe if I don't get to go this year, next year I'm going to be super extra. Like, I'm going to like Megan Thee Stallion it up.
Ooh.
Is the goal, or Beyonce it, whichever one comes first. That'll be like the outfit vibe that I pick, but it better be a good day when I choose to do that.
So when is it over?
I think March 19th or 20th.
So you have time.
Mm-hmm.
You should go.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Wow. I was like, you're not going.
It's like, I'm not going.
It's okay. I go to our state fair here in North Carolina every single year. And at first it was so much fun. But after, about the 5th time in a row of going, I was like, this isn't fun anymore. It's too crowded. The lines are too long. The rides look, less and less well constructed every year. It gets old. So you're not really missing anything.
I would go for the food and the food only. Because one of my coworkers or old coworkers actively participated in the cooking contest, but he would test out his recipes
Mhm.
by bringing in food like 3 months in. And like, so for like 3 months, I would go into the office and it would be
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 different types of chili or something that he wanted us to try.
Yeah.
I loved that time of the year.
That sounds delicious,
It is.
actually. Yeah, going for the
Was.
food has kind of become what I do for the state fair, but then I think the last time I went, the food made me sick because I ate too much. So, pros and cons.
Yeah. It's kind of like I go to the fair for mead. So it's the same principle.
Me for mead?
Have you not had mead before?
No.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I'm so serious. I thought that was literally only at like the Renaissance fair, not like the regular fair.
Listen, I'm talking about Ren Fair, like Sherwood. Oh
Oh,
my
okay.
gosh, I think you're gonna be here during Sherwood. We're gonna talk about this after this because I
Okay.
think I'm dragging you to Sherwood this year.
I'm all down for some mead. Never had any. Sounds good.
It's great. Yeah.
So, are we about to get into our topic?
We are.
Excited. Okay, well, we have to do our intro first.
Oh. Hi guys, welcome to Black Prose, where Black lives, Black stories, and Black authors have always mattered. I am one of your hosts, Brittany, aka Melanin Eclectic.
And I am another one of your hosts, Oshale of Oshi Reads and Oshi Writes Here. And our third host, as we mentioned earlier, Troy Nicole, she is not under the weather. We'll put it that way, thanks to some small humans. So she will not be here tonight. But we are very, very, very excited to introduce you to our special guest this evening. She is the author of our book pick for this quarter, We Are the Origin. If you have not started it yet, you still have a little bit of time before our book talk later this month about this book. And she also has written one other book, which is a romance, I believe, which she will chat with us about because you know me, I love romance. So I will be asking the questions. And she also is the founder of the Melanin Library. And we cannot wait to chat with her. So without further ado, I would like to bring up CM Lockhart, or Chelsea, our friend, because she's our friend now.
Hey.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
So I just want to say before we get into the seriousness of this interview, I finished the book and I'm very
Brittany, you're so dramatic
that I have months to wait. And since I had you here, I just needed to tell you that while I like cliffhangers, I genuinely was like, wait, what?
Uh-oh.
You know that.
This is like Brittany's dream moment. She has the author here to talk to her about the cliffhanger at the end of the fantasy book. So
I was like, I genuinely love fantasy cliffhangers. But you know, when you get into a book and you don't realize that you're getting to the end because you're like engrossed in it. So I get to it and I turn the page and I was like, what happened? I was like, wait. And then I went online. I was like, oh, okay, it's coming out this year. And then I realized it's not coming out until the end of this year. Okay, it's fine.
It's okay. You have time to reread it and re-experience that cliffhanger before you read the sequel.
I basically decided that I need to order the second book, or I've already did I order the second book? I think I already ordered it.
Hey.
And then I also told my friends they need to read it so we can discuss the cliffhanger. So I've got other people listening to the audiobook now so that I can make my comments. I was like, you will be reading this in your next pick. Thank you.
Oh my God. Dang, got a whole crusade going on, Brittany.
It was just, I was having a good reading day. That's all it was.
I mean, that honestly makes me feel so good because I mean, there's no better compliment than be like, oh, I was so engrossed in the book, I didn't realize I reached the end. Like, thank you. And then to be evangelizing, that is an author's dream.
Listen, I will spread the word. I have no problem doing that for you.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So we want to kind of delve into book 2, but towards the end, we're going to save that for towards the end of our conversation and see if we can get some some nuggets, some gems out of you for what we have to expect in the sequel. But before we get to that point, welcome again. And we just want you, in your own words, to kind of tell us what you are currently working on.
Okay, so if you haven't seen me before, my name is Chelsea, and I write books about Black girls who aren't all that nice. And I am currently working on the second book in the Wrath of the Gods series, the sequel to We Are the Origin, which is titled We Are Dying Gods. Comes out August 29th. And as of today, I am only 7 scenes away from writing the end of it. So we're almost there.
Oh
almost there.
God. So do you think you know how it's going to end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
Like, ooh, okay, I'm good. I'm excited.
Okay, so we teased that. Now we're gonna back up. And we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the other endeavors that you have going on. I know, Brittany, you wanted to talk to her about the Melanin Library specifically, and also you are a self-published author and you have your own publishing imprint, which is amazing. So we just kind of wanted to talk about how the idea for Melanin Library came about, how it started.
It's kind of like a conglomerate of things that kind of just converged over time. So I guess first things first, the thing that you have to know about me is I'm very pro-Black, and I come from a very pro-Black family, meaning that, you know, my parents were very much like, we read Black authors and we support Black owned businesses, and, you know, we keep our money within the community when we can. So, you know, we're going to skip over the dark times. I called it the dark age when I wasn't writing, right? We're just going to skip over to that. And I was like, okay, got to the point where I was like, you know what, I want to write. And I knew very specifically the kind of stories that I wanted to write and that I wanted to tell. And so I started doing research about like, okay, how do I go about this? What am I supposed to do? And something that I noticed was just like, there weren't a lot of Black authors who were coming up in my searches just like naturally. I had to like really dig to find them. And I was just like, hold up, this is a scam. What? I know that there are other Black people doing this.
Not a scam. Not a whole scam. Oh my gosh.
I was just like, okay. So I was just like working on my own stuff, but then I was also talking to my mom, and then she just kind of like naturally in a conversation, she's kind of always ingrained in me like, hey, do it yourself. You know, if you don't see it, create it. And so finally I was just like, bump it. Okay, if I can't find these Black authors and I got to do all this work anyway, there are probably other people who would appreciate this work being done. So we're just going to create a website. Like, we're just going to do that. And I had the idea for like a year, and I just sat on it because, you know, as a talented as I like to believe myself to be, I am not a web developer. I'm not a designer. I was like, this is beyond my skill set. So, I was just, a lot of it is just, you know, God just really came through and was just like, hey, you know, here's this random person that I met on Instagram. And she was just like, oh, I like what you're doing. Because at the time, the Melanin Library was just an Instagram page. And she was like, oh, cool. I like what you're doing. I web develop in my day job, and I'm a Black woman and I have my own company. She was like, and we do this thing every year where we just pick a random company that we like what they're doing and we just give them a free website. Do you want one? And I was like, yeah.
Stop.
Wow.
Stop it.
So that's how the Melanin Library came into existence. Like, I already had like the trademark and everything, because I was like, I know I'm going to do something with it. I don't want anyone to take it. But I had the domain, but I wasn't doing anything with it. It was just kind of sitting there. And she was like, yeah, let's make it happen. I was like, dope. And so like 3 months later, we had a website and we were having our official launch. And it was in February, which was like perfect timing because Black History Month. And it's just been kind of going from there. It's been a labor of passion for sure. I mean,
it's an incredible resource. And I wish more people knew that it was out there. And I feel like it's been so helpful because it's basically a one-stop shop. Like, you go there and you look up and you find so many books, so many authors, different genres. And it's just an incredible idea. I remember when I stumbled across it, I was like, this is an amazing idea. And I'm so glad that it exists.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually didn't put two and two together. I was like, wait, she did the Melanin Library? Like, when we picked your book and then, you know, we went on your site, we were like, Oh my God, she did the Melanin Library.
It's true. We had to put 2 and 2 together because I was like, oh my God, there's this amazing website called the Melanin Library. And then we're like, wait a second. CM Lockhart, wait a second. Chelsea, wait a second.
Same
Putting it
person.
all together. We're like, hold up.
Yeah, and that's honestly, again, that's one of those things that makes me so happy because it's just kind of like, that's exactly what I want it to be. I want it to be a resource for people who love to read and who are just like, I just want to be able to find a book by an author who looks like me, who writes about characters who look like me in my experience without having to like dig. And I could just say, hey, I want to find a romance, or hey, I want to find a fantasy, and just go to that genre and know that any book that you pick, you can just sort by the actual blurb instead of having to, jump through all the hoops that you might have to jump through when you're in a bookstore, like in person, and you're like, there's no picture on the back of this book. There's a black girl on the cover, but
it's giving me nothing. It's giving me nothing but cover art. I need more.
Right.
Cover art.
Oh man, it's so cool to realize like somehow how things in life are so divinely timed. Like, you mentioned
Truly.
God, like just kind of making that divine appointment, as we like to say in my Pentecostal upbringing, to like bring those two, you and that web developer, together at the perfect time. What are the odds that she had a company that gives away free? Like everything was so meant to be. And I love stories like that because it just means that that you're on the right path. Like it literally gave me a chill when you said that. I was like, oh my God, yes. That's the kind of favor I need in my life, Lord. Hope you're listening. Thank you.
Amen. Receive it, because honestly and truly, everything with the Melanin Library has truly been a blessing. Like even very recently, right? The Melanin Library got like a major facelift on the back end, and a lot of the things that I was having to do manually, that I was just kind of like, okay, God, look, I got this first book out. I'm trying to write a second book. I'm trying to expand more with like my coaching services and like my podcast, my YouTube channel. I'm trying to do a lot to like help authors in this space because, like I said, the publishing industry in and of itself is so opaque, and it hasn't really much changed since when I was first looking for like, how do I do this? And so I was like, okay, I've done this. So let me like reach behind me and be like, hey, if you want to do this, like how I did it, I can give you some tips and pointers, right? And so I was just like, okay, how are we going to do this, Lord? Because run out of time.
No, that's amazing.
And truly, like the next day, I had again from Instagram, I had a DM from not a web developer, a software developer, and he was like, "Hey, I want to write a book, so maybe we could do an exchange of services. You can coach me through my book and I can help you with your website." So he went in and he completely redid the back end of the Melanin Library. So it's no longer hosted on a website like WordPress. It's completely independently hosted now. We don't have a limit on how many books we can update. Everything is automated. So as soon as a reader submits a book, it's in the database immediately. There's no longer having to wait for it to update or the website being laggy. So if you go now and you scroll, it actually loads the books appropriately now. And there's a whole lot more information on the pages rather than just what I could work through a widget. So, and he's still working on the back end. And I guess I can say this now because it's actually in the works. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have an official app that you can download from the App Store or the or Google Play. So yeah.
That's so cool. So we'll have an app that's better than Goodreads. Got it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we're working on. I want to create a community section for the Melanin Library for people who read books. So it's like one of the things that shout out to Miss Woman of Color Reader, because she's in a Discord server that I run.
Vina and everybody's
stuff. Of course.
Shout out to Vina.
Vina coming through once again.
Yeah. And she mentioned how there's not really a community aspect to like Goodreads or Storygraph or anything like that, where you can just like interact with other readers. And so I was like, oh, it would be really cool if the Melanin Library could do something like that. So that's kind of what we're working on. We're talking about, what would be possible to implement. So hopefully, I can't promise a date, but that is definitely something that we want to be able to bring. So it's like, if you like Black romance and you want to talk to other people who like Black romance, like let's have a space for that. That's not necessarily one that you have to create on like YouTube or, your own completely independent space. It's like this space already exists. You could just pop in for a little bit, say, I love this book so much, and then like go on about your day.
The way your Instagram DMs work for you is what I need.
I know. I was like, your DMs work in a totally different way than mine, and I need what you've got going on in your DMs. Because you be like, God, I need help. DM.
Special delivery into your inbox.
And y'all want to know what's so crazy? I don't even like Instagram like that. I'm never on Instagram, so I'm always like a week late. Okay. I'm always like a week late to the message, and I'm like, oh, is this still like a thing?
That's insane. But so encouraging to hear for other creatives out there who are looking to make something, who have an idea and are maybe sitting on it, or they're not sure about it, or they're feeling doubts. Like stories like, you know, what you made happen and how you were able to make those connections with people and how everything just came together definitely is going to give people that little extra boost that they need to go ahead and do what they feel like they want to. So I love that.
I hope so, because I'm really truly a huge believer of, you know, how do I put it? As my mom would say, the worst someone can say is no, right? So the worst thing that can happen is that you try something and it doesn't succeed, which sucks, but that's literally the worst thing that could happen, you know? So there's no point not to take that leap, because it's not like you're not going to be any worse off than before you took the leap, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I kind of see it. You know, I mean, I don't like go take out no $10,000 loan and then not like pay it back, but you know,
that'd be a no.
Try the things that you want to happen in your life, but be responsible.
Exactly.
You know, there's a balance to this.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your mom having that idea of like, if you can't find something, you know, or you do it yourself, that idea of do it yourself, take the leap, start it, create it yourself. Would you say like that type of ideology is kind of what led to you publishing yourself as well? Or did you ever think about going the traditional route at any point?
Yes and no.
Okay.
My route towards self-publishing, indie publishing, was honestly more so a character flaw rather than like intention, because I don't respond well to authority and people telling me no. And
look,
it was just like, I knew, y'all seen my book, you know, I knew what kind of story I wanted to write. And I knew it was going to be about a Black girl, and I knew she was going to be loved by a Black man. And I knew that Black was going to be beautiful all throughout the book. And I knew what the book was going to be, and I knew who I was writing it for. And I knew I wasn't going to change nothing. So I was like, look, there's no reason for me to like jump through all these hoops. And to me, and this is, I mean, no disrespect to anyone who chooses to go traditional publishing, but for me, when I was at that moment where I was just like, do I want to go try to do this, right? Try to go traditional, try to get an agent and, you know, everything else. I was just like, this feels like a circus. Like I'm putting on this giant act and someone's like got a whip saying, jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop, you know, do this backflip for me, and then maybe you might get some applause, you know. And I wasn't for it. I'm like, if I'm gonna have to sell the tickets, and I'm gonna have to be the ringmaster, and I'm gonna have to pitch the tent, and I'm gonna have to bring the audience in, it might as well be my name on the circus.
Yes.
You know. So
I think that it was definitely a smart move on your part. I know you call it a character flaw, but
yeah, I don't really see it as a character flaw.
A lot of people would, because they're just like, what do you mean you don't respond well to authority? And it's just like,
because you were always born to be the authority. So there's like really no need to respond to others' authority. That's how I translate it.
It's just, it's one of those things where I'm like, you're not my mama. You can't tell me what to do. What?
Look, that. And the thing is, like, your writing and what you're doing is so desperately needed. And like, we are searching, you know, like Black readers, we are searching for Black fantasy. We are searching for Black romance. Like, so it's actually very, very smart what you've done, because what the traditional publishing houses don't understand, I even hate like they're called traditional publishing, that irritates me. But what they don't understand is like, when you have a huge demand for something, it's like supply and demand. When you have a huge demand for something, the people are going to find it, especially in today's age with like the book talks, and I feel so old, but whatever, the book talks, the Instagram reels and all the things. Like, the book community has exploded online, and people have like found their people. And there is definitely like a Black fantasy readership. Like we have our people. And so as an author, it is so smart to do it yourself, because the readers that are out there that are hungry and thirsting for those stories, they're going to find you. And it doesn't matter who's publishing your book and who has their name on the back or whatever it is. And it's actually smart that you're doing it yourself, because you're still going to get the same level of, like, I don't know if the attention's the right word, but people, your readers are going to find you regardless, because they're looking for you. And this way you get to keep everything. Everything belongs to you. Your characters belong to you. Like everything is copyrighted by, everything belongs to you. And you don't have to share your profits, the recognition, with anyone else.
You also
that's actually
have
very
to deal
smart.
with the publishers wanting you to add some diversity that we never asked for in the book.
Look, my book is diverse. All right.
It's diverse the way that we need it to be, not the way that
Thank
they
you.
need it to be.
And I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I was just like, I don't know what it is in me, but I'm just like, if I'm gonna have to do all the work, I'm gonna have to sit here and write the book. I'm gonna have to sit here and market it, because with my podcast and my YouTube channel, I have spoken to traditionally published authors about what happens once you get that agent, once you get behind those gilded doors of traditional publishing, what's next, right? And it was so much of stuff that I just didn't sound fun. It didn't sound like a good idea to me, right? Because it's like you get an editor, but then your editor is basically your red light, green light. Your book doesn't move forward until they say it's okay. So they say, hey, this character that you wrote, like, for example, my character Jack, he's Black, totally 100%, right? And if they were like, hey, we think that Jack should be like light-skinned, or he should be Caucasian, I would have two choices to either go along with that or to basically have my deal dropped. And it's just kind of like, that wasn't something that I wanted, or they would just sit on it, right? They wouldn't publish it, but I wouldn't be able to take my book anywhere else and do anything else with it. It would just sit there and rot. And I was just like, yeah, nah, that's not for me. And I knew that I wanted a Black girl on the cover, and I wanted her to be unambiguously Black, right? And that was important to me. Again, you don't have control over that. And I like knowing that this is my book, baby. This is everything that I have poured into it. This is exactly the book that I wanted, the book that I felt that I needed when I wrote it, the book that I want to be able to share with other people. And I'm very proud to have my name on it. There's no aspect of it where I'm just like, ooh, I hope people don't notice that. I don't want people to know that was me. Like, no, this is mine. I did this,
Yeah.
And it's just, it feels good. And also it's nice to have all the coins in my pocket, because it's just like, I can sell my book direct, and I can do fun things. Like with book 2, I have a pre-order box. I can do that because it's me, it's mine, it's my website. I can decide that I want to put candles and extra goodies in it and send it out to people to promote. I don't have to ask anyone, and I don't have to be like, oh, is this okay? Or, oh, I have to sit on this information, or even doing a cover reveal when I did it. My book doesn't come out until August. We're in March.
Yeah.
Normally, you wouldn't be able to do a cover reveal until much later on when somebody gives you the okay.
That's true.
I ain't got that problem.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
Also, thank you for making your cover art match the cover art of the first book. I do very much appreciate that, because some publishing people, it'd be like, yeah, we know this is hurt, but we're going to they're not going to be the same size, and they're also not going to be the same artist. Like, that annoys me to a different level, because I'm like, when I put this book on my shelf and this is what you see, the book next to it, if it's a sequel, it needs to match so I can tell people it's a series.
Yes.
Like, I shouldn't have to pull it out and show you like, oh no, it's the same author. No. But also, shout out to your cover artist. It's stunning.
Yeah.
I love the cover. That was the first thing that caught my attention. And immediately I was like, yes, and yes. And also, yes, I need this.
Because she is extra chocolate. And in the book, she's described as extra chocolate. And I'm not confused about her. She's not meek and quiet or humble. Like, I love it, because I love a strong Black woman character. Like, she could kill you, but like, she loves just as hard. Balance.
Yeah. I like the unapologetic strength, confidence, brashness, because it's like, I almost feel like we're damned if we do and damned if we don't as Black women. You know, you're always tiptoeing through life being like, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm too much. But at the same time, you have to be who you are just to survive and kind of, you know, elevate yourself. But people want to belittle you for that. It's so frustrating. And I see that sometimes in the traditional published Black fantasies with the girl characters. And you're just kind of like, okay, you're trying to shrink down. Got it. You know, it's like you can see that tension. And like, as someone who writes myself, like I can only imagine from an author's perspective who's being traditionally published, like you said, we don't know how many hoops they had to jump through and how many edits they had to go through and how many notes they had from their editor, from the publishing house on what was needed and all these different things that are going on behind the scenes besides just creativity and like telling a story. That business side that comes in. And like sometimes when I'm reading the stories, I can feel the tension between the two. It's weird. I'm like, okay, I feel like this character is watered down, but I feel like they had to make this choice because this is what's palatable for the readers who are not to relate or to feel safe while they're reading. And you're like, or why the male protagonist is not, so that we have that safety aspect from the readers that are not. And you're just like, oh my God, I don't even know what this author intended this story to be, but this is what we got.
It's one of those things where early 2020, when all of the books with the Black girls on the cover were coming out and they were like, Black girl magic, Black girl magic. And I was just like, yay, finally, like everybody else. And I got it. And I was like, what is this? And I was
Brittany's like, look.
Listen, I fell victim to some covers, okay? So I can't talk.
Literally that. And I was just like, I guess someone likes. I was like, you know what? As a Black woman, I support you as another Black woman. Get your bag. But I was also like, I don't like it personally. Like as a human being, when authors, specifically Black women authors, say that this is for the Black girls, and it's very clearly not for the Black girls.
Not at all.
Or it's very specifically for the smaller demographic of Black girls who don't enjoy being Black girls. And it's catering to a very, I'll say, Eurocentric gaze. And
extremely.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because everybody has their own lived experience. But there is also a very large experience within, I'll say America specifically, because I'm from America. I'm not from anywhere else. So I can only speak to that experience, right? But there's a very large experience that I feel like is never touched on in traditional publishing because it's too something. And I don't like it personally when the main character is a Black girl and she's on the cover, but she's pretty much the only Black person in the book. So even though she's the main character, she's still the other. And it's just kind of like that for me was really frustrating. So when I wrote We Are the Origin, I was like, yeah, no, everybody's going to be Black. Everybody's Black unless I tell you different. You know? And
it's like
that was important to me.
For me, like that is a revolutionary thing that you're doing, and other writers like you who are being unapologetic in their expression and in the storytelling. Because as a Nigerian American, I feel like sometimes I have this weird third outside but inside perspective, because when I think about African literature and how it's treated, especially by traditional publishing and white readers or non-Black readers, it almost has this level of prestige and respect to it in a way where you won't hear a reader who's not African complaining about how African the book was or how they couldn't relate to the characters. And a part of it is because, you know, a lot of African literature tells a story of oppression, right? And there's a lot of struggle, and it's not depicting a lifestyle that they feel in any way is on par with theirs. And that's where that, you know, kind of like European worldview comes in of like, well, I still see myself as up here. So I'm okay reading this African literature book and still feeling better because I feel like I am better. Whereas I feel like for African Americans, like it's so hard to tell the authentic experience because there's constant opposition of like, well, I can't relate to this. Well, I don't feel like this character is relatable. Well, I don't think, you know, and we've heard this all the time. Like we've talked about it before on Black Prose of how hard it is for American Black female characters especially, to be written about unapologetically, boldly, not having to shrink like you talked about, being able to have a Black male or whatever else, all Black cast, and not feel any type of way, because there's so much opposition from readers who are not Black being like, well, I can't relate to this story. And, you know, then you have to start asking those questions. I don't see that same battle with African lit and African stories. And I think it's because that Eurocentric worldview of like, well, I can read this and still feel better. But I don't know if I can read this Black, authentic Black American fantasy and still feel better. And now I'm uncomfortable. I don't know if that made sense at all.
It did. I feel like you're tiptoeing to next to a very delicate topic.
Yep.
Look, I'll go there, okay?
I feel like in regards to what you said, though, I feel like a lot of it is this conception of people don't like to talk about race in America because it is very divisive. And a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that because there is such a divide, there is a difference in culture. But there is, like you said, it's African American. Like, yes, I look different, but I'm also still American. And I think for a lot of people, the difference is when it's just African, it's like, okay, they're not American. That's a completely different experience. I don't need to compare it to mine because it's completely removed from everything that I know and everything that I am. But once you add that African American part on, it's like, okay, well, now we're American. Now we're on the same playing field. And for America to work in the power structure that it's currently set up in every aspect of how our society works as a whole, it's built on this racial hierarchy where, you know, it's like African Americans, Black people, have to be kept lower than every other race in order for it to truly work as it's meant to function. And when you start offering these stories where it's just like, we love and we laugh and we have joy and we are happy, and I'm not trying to take what you have. I don't want to be what you are. I just want to be respected enough to live in my own space authentically. Then a lot of people who are not, I'll say, putting themselves in conversations and who are not diversifying their worldview in any way. As my friend Jen likes to say, every book that they have is a mirror, you know, reflecting back their own experience. When they see something that's not theirs, they see it as an attack on them because they're forced to confront the reality that how they live their lives and what they think is not true. And a lot of people can't reconcile the fact that what they have been taught by people that they love, people that they grew up with, their mothers, their grandmothers, they cannot reconcile the fact that the people who taught them these things are not necessarily always right, and what they taught them is just straight up wrong. Like sometimes there's no getting around it, you know. I don't know if you guys watch Avatar: Last Airbender, but you know there's a moment where Aang and Toph are like arguing, and Toph is like, you can't go around some things. That's a very Airbender thought, right? Sometimes you have to be Earthbender and go straight through it. And a lot of people are trying to be Airbenders when they need to be Earthbenders, you know.
Shout out to the Earthbenders.
Yes.
If I was in that series, I would be an Earthbender.
Brittany's like, I wish I lived in that world.
Honestly, I wish I lived in any fantasy world where I could like enjoy myself. That would be
truly
great. Yeah.
But
okay,
yeah, no,
I have a question.
You said a mouthful there.
Sorry.
So let's see.
No, it was amazing.
I'm trying to keep track of all of the many hats you wear. So you are an author. You run your own publishing house. You are the creator and sustainer of the Melanin Library. You run a podcast. You run a YouTube channel. Apparently somewhere in there, you also have time to be a human and a wife. Did I miss any other hats? Excuse me.
I also offer coaching services to indie authors.
Coach. Anything else?
That's amazing.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So my next question is how?
Yes, how?
How do you manage this?
God.
I know that's right.
But like truly, I'm very fortunate to be able to like live the way that I do because I have an extremely supportive husband. So I'm able to do this full time and build it from the ground up. So I'm able to do something that a lot of people don't have the time to do because it's like I'm not split between like doing what I really love and want to do and want to build up into like a self-sustaining business and then also like having to like feed and shelter myself. Like I have someone to take care of that and he's basically like, no, you get this working because he's like he has absolute faith that what I'm doing is going to be successful. And he is like my number one fan. He reads all of my work before it ever goes out to anyone else. And he's like an evangelizer. So literally I heard him talking to his coworkers because he works from home. And he was like, yeah, this like my wife just dropped her cover and he just sent it to his group chat. And I was just like, why? These people don't even know me.
We love a supportive partner.
We love a supportive partner. And a partner who reads.
That too.
He reads a lot. He reads more than I do. And it's just he's wonderful. So that's definitely part of it. And then the other part is a lot of my content overlaps. So like when I'm creating content for my podcast, like I'm talking to authors and I'm also, getting insight that I can then take and share on my YouTube channel. And when I'm doing sprints on my YouTube channel, I'm streaming, but I'm also adding the actual word count that I need for my book. And then that in turn creates another YouTube video that I can share out. And that creates the tweets that I use. And, when I'm doing podcasts and talking to authors, they tell me about their books. That goes on the Maryland Library. Those become posts and everything. So everything kind of just builds on top of each other. And the longer I do this author thing, the more information I gather. So when people come to me and they have questions, it's just kind of like, hey, that's where the author mentorship comes from. It's just like, you have questions, I have answers. So let's work this out. Like, what do you need to know? And I really love doing it. I love talking to people. I love helping people. And I love just being an author and everything about this space. It's part of the reason why I'm really passionate about, putting Black authors as a spotlight. Like, hey, this website is here. And why I'm so passionate about being like, hey, have you heard of this person? Have you read their book? They're out here doing the thing. And to let people know that like, it's possible. Like, just because, as I like to say, the gilded gates of traditional publishing, the line is long and the gatekeeper is strict. That doesn't mean that's going to keep you from your dream of being an author. That just means you have to go to a different part of the wall and create your own door. It's going to take more work. Absolutely. But can you go through it once it's done? Absolutely.
No, that's a great way to look at it. And you mentioned something earlier that has intrigued me. Okay. And I don't want to delve into it too deeply if you don't want to share, but you mentioned there being the dark ages of not writing. And for people who may be watching who have doubts, or whether they're other writers or other creatives who are in a dark age themselves, what got you out of it? And what, having been through that, what, if any, advice would you give to kind of help with getting out of that?
That is a loaded question. For me, it's not necessarily something that I don't want to talk about because it is part of my journey. And it's something that when I do have clients, I always make sure to tell them, like, what you see right now is not how I started. So like when I was at the beginning, it didn't look like this. It didn't look like full-time, got it together, being able to talk to people on interviews and have my book in bookstores. It didn't look like that. So for me, the dark ages specifically were the years between 2015 and 2018. I had just gotten married, which was wonderful. Great. Love my husband. It was fantastic. But I was going through a rough patch with my family. I was going through a rough patch with like myself because I had dropped out of grad school because I was like, I don't want to do this. My professors were like super racist. And when I almost like went across the desk on one of my professors, I was like, yeah, I need to quit. I need to quit. So I quit the next day. And then I was just like, okay, I'm not in grad school. I'm not at school anymore. What am I supposed to do? And then moved across the country, didn't have a job, didn't have no money. My husband had the car all day. I didn't know anybody. And I was just like, yeah, this ain't fun. So I got a job teaching because anybody can be a teacher, right? Wrong. Terrible idea. It was a very rough 2 years. Ultimately ended up quitting because again, I got to a position where I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna drop kick this little woman and I'm gonna go to jail. So
I see where the inspiration for your protagonist is coming.
A little bit, right?
A little bit.
And so, and the thing is, I'm not a violent woman, but really, and it was one of those moments where it was like, in hindsight, I can recognize that it was just God guiding me to where I needed to be, because I kept trying to take paths that were not for me because it's what everyone else wanted from me and from my life. And that's not the plan that God had for me. So every time I tried to veer off, like I kept hitting roadblocks, kept being like, no, this isn't it. This isn't going to work. So finally, when I was at the lowest of the low, back to where I was to begin with, no job, no car, sitting in an apartment that I did not like. And it was just me and my husband. And I had like an old laptop. And I remember talking to him, and he was just like, what do you want to do? He's like, it doesn't matter. And the thing I love about my husband is he's really truly supportive in a way that I've never met anyone else, because he's like, you don't have to work. If you don't want to work, you don't have to. He's like, you can sit here and watch TV all day as long as you're happy. And I was just like, never heard that before, but okay. Perspective. And so I really just sat there for like a week, and I was like, I cried, and then I ate a bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't have. And I was just like, I want to write, because I've been writing since I was 13, and it had been always what I wanted to do. So I was just like, I'm going to give this like a true chance, because I was like, what else am I going to do? Like, I can't go back to grad school because I basically flunked out when I said I wasn't coming back, and then didn't go back for the last of my classes. I left in the middle of the semester, and I can't go back to teaching because I quit in the middle. So it's like, I can't go back. No one's going to hire me. So I was just like, so what's left? And I was like, I want to write. And I prayed about it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna just sit here and I'm gonna do it. So I wrote Keeping Promises, and like 6 weeks. I just sat at my computer and I just typed and I just kept going and kept going. And then when I was done, I was just like, okay, now what? And then for like all of like a solid hour, I was like, I can go traditional. And I was like, nah, homie, that ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work. So my advice for people who are in that place is, you just kind of, I don't want to say you have to get to a point, but for me, my journey specifically was, I had to get to a point where I was just like, there is no plan B. Either this works or I'm having a face-to-face with Jesus, because like my time's up. I can't do anything else, which is kind of why in the book there's this phrase of like returning to the gods. I was like, that's literally where I was at. I was like, either I'm going to do this or I'm going to return to God and be like, I tried. I'm sorry. I missed the signals, And there's this song by NF, and he's not really a Christian rapper, but he raps about like mental health and stuff. But there's a song called Options, and there's this line where he's like, these are the options. I have to make it or make it. I have to make it or make it. These are the options.
I love that.
So, and that's just kind of like in my internal motto at this point. Like, if written in melanin doesn't work, if the melanin library doesn't work, if writing, being an author doesn't work, I have nothing else. I have to sit on the couch and just be happy, as Ben said. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel purposeless.
Yeah.
So
shout out to Ben. Shout out to Ben.
I was gonna say, he's in the chat right now letting us know that you missed out on some things. Like, he specifically came in and said that you've been writing for a long time. You just needed to get back into it.
Yeah. So I guess fun fact. When we first started dating, I told him that I was like writing or whatever, because I was one of those girls, because my parents lived so far out and I was commuting to college. He had an apartment. So in between my classes, when I had like that 3-hour break, I was like, it takes an hour to drive home. I'm not going all the way back to get there, to be there for 45 minutes to have to come back. But I also don't want to sit in the union like the lonely kid that I feel like, and they just looking at me with no friends. That doesn't sound cool either. So I would just go to his apartment and sit, and I would just be like working on my laptop. And he was like, what are you doing? And so I told him I was writing a story one day, and he like read it. He read the whole thing from start to finish. And it was like a story that I had started writing when I was like 15, and it was terrible. And he loved it. And he was like, this is so great. And I was like, you lie, but thank you. It just kind of went from there. So he's read every draft of We Are the Origin. Because I say this all the time to like newer authors, but like there are versions of We Are the Origin that no one else will ever see, where I got like 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 words in. And I was like, scrap that, nix it. We're going back to the beginning. And he's read every version. He finally got to the point he was like, look, I can't read any more versions. It's getting muddled in my head. And I'm like, that's fair. Let me stop.
He's thinking something happened. He's like, hold on, that was the second version. No, was that the third?
Literally that. Did that happen in this version?
That's really funny. But it's interesting you talking about like you've always had a passion for writing, and it's what I always think about is how as adults, the things that brought us so much joy when we were children or younger, somehow we, especially as creative people, we tend to lose our way, and how you kind of have to like fight to reclaim that as an adult and almost like tell yourself that it's okay to build your life on that. Because for so long we were told that you can't make a career out of this. You can't live like this. You can't make a living doing this. Or, you know, all those voices in your head, whether they be family members or even some educators that we've had, people along the way, and how you like bury those things. And then as an adult, you literally have to dig them back up and like fight to reclaim them and be like, this is okay. Like, it's okay. This is my passion and I'm going to make it or make it. Those are the choices.
Right. I have to make it or make it. Those are the options. But
I'm going to be walking around saying this to myself, and it's going to make me laugh because nobody's going to know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to say it with my whole chest.
I mean, that's the idea though. And the way I'm learning to look at it, you know, after a couple of bouts of therapy, right? It's just kind of like some things from our childhood, they're buried and they take root. And then some things are buried and they just stay buried because we didn't need them. Right. And the things that take root are eventually going to spring up and bring forth something new, because that's how growth works, you know? And it's just kind of like, for me, writing was that thing that I buried, but it took root. I'm not going to be able to get rid of it. And, you know, given time, you know, it's just like, even though I wasn't necessarily, you know, doing with it what I was when I was younger, because, you know, we grow older, life, priorities change. I realized that boys exist and they are, in fact, incredibly cute. So it's just like priorities change.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, it was just like, this is the thing that brought me joy. And this is the thing that I know that I can rely on and that I don't need anybody else's approval to do. So like, I've always been the type of person where it's just like, I like my own company. I saw kind of random, but I saw what is it? Medea's I Can Do Bad All by Myself at like a really young age. And there's this point in the movie, and this was when, you know, Tyler Perry was still like really good and like up on the come up, right? On the come up.
Yes.
And it was the play version of it. My cousin played it and I watched it, and there's this line where Medea was like, you know what, I would rather be in a corner by myself and be happy than be in a whole house with somebody else and be miserable. And I don't know, for some reason that really just impacted me as a kid. And I was just like, I want to make sure that I'm happy with myself. So I have always been able to like self-entertain and just sit down with like a notebook, a pen, a book, a computer, whatever, my own thoughts, and be like, okay, I'm a cool person. I think I'm kind of funny. Cool. We can do something with this. We can work with this, you know?
Yes.
So I feel like that just kind of grew when I got back to that point as an adult where I was like, again, no money, no job, nothing to do outside of sit at the house by myself and wait for Ben to come back home. Okay, what am I going to do with this time? And it's just like, I have this laptop, I have this passion. The worst I can do is fail.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that just gives me chills because that is amazing. I feel very inspired right now. I feel like
my friends are watching this and they keep texting me and they're like, oh my God, she's great. I'm like, I'm going to tell her you said that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
So you mentioned that you wrote your first book in 6 weeks. And for those that you don't know, she wrote a romance, a Black romance. It's beautiful. Go read it.
Yeah. You read it?
Girl, it's on my Kindle. I'm going to after I finish We Are the Origin.
Okay.
So I'm about to say, oh, you didn't know Oshale and Troy are like hardcore Black romance readers.
I mean, I knew, but
time is like
when I saw that it existed, I was like, absolutely, like this is happening.
Yeah, half the time I'm in the chat, like, I mean, I'm happy for y'all, but like. She got a bang in this book, but she also killed people. I'm gonna go there. Y'all enjoy romance.
Keeping promises is one of those things where it's just like, I'm proud of what it was for that time, and it was very much the gateway book that needed to be written so that I could get to We Are the Origin. But in a lot of ways, for me, it's like we don't talk about Bruno. Like
What?
You know
Stop
what?
it.
That's fair because I have some artwork that has never been seen. And I remember when I did it, I was super proud of myself. Like I just thought it was the best thing ever. And then now when I scroll down my iPad, I'm like, what was this? How am I who let me believe that this was good? It's really how I feel.
It's not even that I don't like keeping promises, because I do very much still like love the story, and it's a snippet from a version of myself that no longer exists that I can look back on.
Okay.
Like, oh, you were so cute, but oh my God, I'm glad we're through that. So
oh wow. Okay, but look, I feel like every author's first book, they will say exactly what you just said. But at the same time, you have to be proud that you were able to write something so incredible and put it out in 6 weeks.
I didn't put it out in 6 weeks. I wrote it in 6 weeks.
Oh, you wrote it in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But still,
I still went back
proud of what you achieved, because I will be reading it, and then I'll probably be emailing you and being like, okay, so you are completely crazy. I love this. What are you talking about? So just heads up.
I hope you enjoy it. It's just one of those things where the writing style of Keeping Promises is completely different from the writing style of We Are the Origin. Obviously, one's a romance and one's a fantasy, but like, if you get into it, you'll see what I mean. But it's just completely different. I'm proud of what it is. It was just whenever anyone's like, "Oh yeah, I got Keeping Promises," I'm like, "You did?"
I noticed you were like,
"You did that just now." You were like, "Really?"
I never tell anyone about it. I'm like, We Are the Origin is my debut novel.
Oh yeah, no, we did like a full. We essentially treated you like a background check. Like the moment that we picked your book, it was like, okay, let's see what else. And we were on FaceTime for like a good hour and a half. Like,
reader, okay, you can't write a romance and hide it from me. I will find out.
Yeah, just saying. Not creepy at all.
I mean, that's fine. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. I love Jason and Camry. They it's a friends to lovers, second chance romance type thing.
Also, two of my favorite romance tropes.
I'm about to say, you're really just making her want to read it more, but that's fine.
I literally got it before I even got We Are the Origin.
She did.
We had thoroughly discussed that We Are the Origin was going to be our book pick. Then I saw that book, downloaded it immediately, and then I had to make myself not read it because I was like, no, we are reading We Are the Origin first. So,
well, it's a novella, so it'll go by nice and quick, hopefully. But yeah, and also Ben keeps bringing this up, so I do want to tell you guys that.
Yeah, I was about to shout it out too, but because husband is in the comments just eating up the ads.
I freaking love that cover.
Thank you.
Insanely beautiful.
So this is the limited edition of We Are the Origin, and this is what I call the adult version, because technically We Are the Origin is an adult book. Like that's what it's classified as, but it's technically new adult because I'm Indian. I can do what I want, but new adult is for like that age range where you're like, I'm too old for the kids who are in high school, but I don't have a mortgage yet. So that in between range.
That's a good description of it. Spot on.
So this version is well, they all come with a map, but they also have the exclusive artwork beneath it with Jack and Brandy. And then it also has three deleted
I'm sorry, I'm listening.
Brittany is logging onto the website as
it has 3 scenes that were cut out from the original version because the original version is PG-13. So if you read the whole book, Brittany, so there are 2 scenes with Jack and Brandy, and there's one at the bar, because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but there's one at the bar.
The bar scene gets extended?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hold on. I'm gonna mute myself. Y'all keep talking.
And there's also a preview of book 2 at the end.
Oh wow!
But it's only available on my website, and I only have 2 copies left. So once they're gone, I'm not getting any more in stock because book 2 is getting ready to come out. So yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna touch on book 2 in just a moment. But first, I wanted to ask what probably everyone is dying to know. Where did you get the idea for this fantasy series?
Oh God. Okay, that's a little question too.
Really?
Yeah. But I've already given you most of the context. So going back to the Dark Ages.
Okay.
I was in just like at the beginning of the Dark Ages, right? Around 2015, 2016, around that era. I had just moved away from home for the first time, like left the state. I moved from North Carolina to Texas. And it was just like brand new everything. Again, no job, no car, no money, no purpose. And I was going through like a rough patch with my family because I was like the golden child and I dropped out of grad school. That was not encouraged. Let's say that. And also I got married really young. I got married at 20. So that also was not necessarily the most encouraged thing at the time either. Because basically if my mom is listening, she was right. She was like, well, if you get married, you're not going to finish school. And I was like, I don't understand why I can't finish school and be married at the same time. It's going to be great. She was right.
You're like, dang, prove her wrong. Prove her right, rather.
Right. And so in that dark place, I was just like, I want a character who can like handle all the things that I currently cannot. Right. And so in the very like early versions of We Are the Origin, before it was ever called We Are the Origin, it was just like Jack and Brandy. I didn't even have a title for it. Right. It was just it was just like I wanted a character who, you know, she was leaving her family of her own volition, hence, you know, Brandy ultimately leaving the shadows. And I wanted her to have someone she could rely on. So hence Jack being like her support throughout the book. And I kind of wanted her to be like, again, just dealing with all the stuff that I was dealing with. Like doesn't have a purpose that she's always relied on. You know, she doesn't have the family that's always been like there to have her back. And she's like, what am I supposed to do next? Like, what the heck am I doing? Basically. Ooh, the country came out in that. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's kind of where it came from. And I also knew that I wanted a character who was I just wanted her to be Black. I wanted her to be Black. I wanted her to be authentically that. And I wanted her to be loved by a Black man. I was sick of reading interracial romance. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but that wasn't my lived experience. My husband, I can't see him when I turn off the lights. I wanted to read a book with someone who looked like that, you know, who was just loved so fully and completely. And it wasn't complicated. It's just like, it was what it was. It's just like, I'm yours, you're mine. We're in this together. Where you go, I go, period. Right. I wanted that. But also I was in this very interesting phase of, I don't say violence, but also just like violent thoughts. Like I really just wanted to get rid of some of my problems, you know? And so
it's like you wrote your own hero or heroine rather. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. And it just got to a point where I was just like, I was reading some books and they had assassins in them. I'm gonna be real with y'all. My pet peeve, I don't like people who have like monikers and stuff who don't live up to it.
If you oh my God, you and Brittany about to bond right now.
We are friends. We are friends.
If you're an assassin, I'm gonna need you to get rid of somebody. If you're a really great athlete, I'm gonna need you to like be on the starting team of a sport. If you are supposed to be interesting, I'm gonna need you to be interesting. Don't just tell me you're interesting. Do something interesting, right? So
you're not splitting guts. You're not a mercenary.
Thank you. Like, and I wanted a character who was like going to be morally gray. And for me, I say this all the time. No one believes me. My mama and my husband know the truth. I'm not really that nice in real life. So I just got to a point.
I don't believe you.
I don't. That's fine. Cool. I just need you to know that everything you see on the internet is a facade. Okay.
This is my mask.
Okay. So
it's like, this is my selling voice.
Yeah. It's like, hello, hi, my name is Chelsea. Hope you guys are doing great.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
I was just like, I wanted a character who wasn't nice, who wasn't, and it was really important to me at the time, especially in the later versions of We Are the Origin, after I had, you know, quit grad school and after I had been a teacher, and specifically a teacher, where it was just like, I had to shrink who I was so much just to get through the day and to like really politic. I don't like people. I don't like working for other people because I'm like,
You're a
I
kid.
don't want to be your friend. I'm here because you're paying me. I need money to eat, and I show up to this job so that I can eat. Okay,
Look.
that is it. I'm not here to be your friend. I don't want to go out for
Life
drinks with
motto.
you. I don't want to be here after school. I want to go home. Like,
I feel so validated right now.
We're kindred, okay? You don't even understand.
it just wasn't for me.
Literally what I preach.
It's like I clock in and I clock out. When I clock out, I'm out. Please
It's like,
don't contact
you
me.
pay me to be here for this amount of time, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be here, and then I'm out. I'm not
done.
volunteering for nothing. I don't need overtime. We not friends. I don't need a happy hour. I'm going home where I can hang out with my people and be good.
I have friends already. They're not you. It's okay. All right. We are
You don't have to
colleagues.
know my life story. In fact, you're never going to know my life story.
Right. So
Oh
when
my
I was
goodness.
when I was teaching, I just had to be like, "Hi, I'm so glad to be here." And then I got written up a lot as a teacher, and not because I ever did anything to the kids. It was because I apparently am difficult to work with. Because she was like, "Oh, Miss Lockhart, we need someone to stay behind and watch the kids. Their parents said they're not going to get here till 7. School gets out at 4. This is not my problem. They're not my kids. I'm going home." Okay.
3 hours?
Yeah,
Why
that's
are you
insanity.
questioning the parents?
Yeah.
But they're children. You can't leave them unsupervised. And I was just like, yeah, no, they're not my kids. They're not in my grade. They're not in my class. Absolutely not. And they bad. I'm going home. This is not my
No.
responsibility. Your principal, good luck.
Ooh.
Got written up for that. And we're not going to
Wow.
get down my teaching thing. Just know that it was really bad, and I had to shrink myself. So when I wrote "We Are the Origin," I was like, I don't want to write a Black girl who has to be concerned about everybody else and how they feel about her. I don't want to write someone who is so dictated by their actions. Like, their actions are dictated by the color of their skin and how other people perceive them, that they can't be themselves. It's just like, or they're perceived as a threat. I'm like, Brandy is a threat. Okay, perceive her as one, right?
Right.
That was what I wanted. And I didn't want her to be like in a world where it's just like, oh, your skin is dark and your hair is, thick and coily and it looks like this and your features look like this. And so therefore you are not beautiful. Nope. You're the most beautiful person I've ever seen because you look like the goddess, and the goddess is the beauty of standard. And the further you get away from that, the further you get away from that standard of beauty, because I don't know, that makes sense. I don't understand how we as a people don't have any image of what's beautiful, but we have beauty standards. That's so confusing to me. But I digress. We're not going to get on that rant.
There's a whole word. That's a different podcast we're going to bring you back for.
So you want to come back to that one? Because we talk about it all the time.
Sure.
Because we could
It's like,
talk. We
ooh,
could have
one of our favorite topics.
Yes, a whole separate podcast on that. Okay, so real quick, I know we've been here for a while. To lighten things up, I want to do like a lightning round of just like some fun getting to know you, things that people may not know just from reading the blurb about the author on the back of your book or on your website. Okay, favorite book you've read in the last few years?
Oh, dang.
Or a good book that you enjoyed. Maybe favorite is a bit of an intimidating word.
I find. With a hard question right off.
Hold on. Wait.
I was going to say favorite. Hold on.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Okay, good book that I've read in the last few years. Well, in the last month, I've read Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sandberry, and I absolutely loved it. I felt like it made me
Shout out to
a better author by reading it.
That's incredible.
Ooh.
Also, have to shout out my girl Amanda Ross. She wrote In the House of Transcendence, and she has this magical burlesque club in it. And I was just like, I absolutely loved it.
It's a book I'm supposed to be reading next month.
It was fun. I felt like her book was so fun and just enjoyable, and just like you could just like breeze through it. And I absolutely love that. And then also, like, I'm a anime and manga girly, so I also really, really love just like One Piece in general. And then I also have been reading Sweat and Soap. So
oh my gosh.
Okay. I love that one. That one's really like cute and wholesome, but it's like adult characters, which you don't really get in slice of life. So yeah. And I guess also Africa Risen, because it's like short stories, but I have not read a short story in that book that I don't like. And again, it's one of those books where I feel like it's making me a better author the more stories that I read.
Wow. I feel like we need to write those recs down. What was it? Well, Lazelle's book, Delicious Monsters, which is out now. And then you also mentioned House
in the House of Transcendence.
In the House of Transcendence,
by
which
Amanda
is
Ross.
out as well. And then the third book you mentioned was a short story collection.
Africa Rising.
I have it.
It's one of the anthologies, right? Yeah.
This one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've seen that book.
And I picked it up because I was at Resist Booksellers. So shout out to them because the owner, he's really dope. And he bought like the last of my hard copy that I had on stock to put in the store. So I got to sign them and everything. So that's really cool. But when we went in there, this book was on display. It was the first day that his store was open. And I was just pro-Black, right? I said at the beginning. None but Black people on the cover and Black stories inside. So I was just like, yeah, this sounds like it's right up my alley. And I have not read a short story in here that I have not thought, oh, okay, I need to do better as an author because this was good. So yeah,
that's highly recommend on my shelf. I've been in a reading rut, but clearly I need to come out of it.
I like short stories because they kind of give you a quick ending. Sorry.
Right.
No, you're good. Comfort TV show.
Comfort TV show. Okay, so I have two answers to that. One's like a regular person answer, then one's like the fact that I'm an anime nerd answer. So a regular answer would probably be like Bones, Leverage, or White Collar, because I just I don't know what it is about me, but I enjoy people who break the law. So Leverage and White Collar just speak to me on a fundamental level. That's hilarious. And I like Bones because like she's so intelligent and she just has this energy of like, I know I can't say that. I know I'm amazing.
Oh yeah, no, you can say whatever you want here. We already accept that we're never going to be mainstream, so we're good.
She's like, yeah, I realize that I am the greatest. Appreciate me,
Yes.
And I vibe with that energy. And also she doesn't really like people, and I also can vibe with that as well. And the anime lover in me, I can always go for watching like One Piece, like specifically Enies Lobby or Marineford, because like there's this point where he's like, Sniper King, shoot down that flag, and he just declares war on the entire world government like it's nothing, and I'm like, yes. So I also love Marineford. So those are my two of my favorite arcs. And then recently, me and my husband, we just sat and we binge watched the entirety of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Also extremely therapeutic.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So I've never heard of that, but I'm intrigued by that title alone. So I'm going to have to like look into it now.
Please do.
It's favorite snack.
Pockies.
Wait, sorry.
Oh my gosh, really? Which flavor?
The Pockies, I don't have any on me, but they're like these little, like, I don't know, they're graham crackers. They're sticks dipped in coatings. I live for the strawberry kind, but my friend, I don't know where she goes online, but I swear she's got access to the black market. I don't know how, but she sent me like this case of Pockies, and they had all of like the assorted flavors that they don't sell in America, and they have this blueberry yogurt kind. Oh my god!
Oh my god! Okay,
it was so good.
Over those in my house.
Really
delicious.
Yeah. Because Japan, they don't just have like the regular flavors here. So like, if my mom,
why are you like that?
We would fight. Did he bring them in?
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
But again, I love those things.
These are Pockies.
Oh wow.
Yes, there's so many flavors outside of America.
Yeah, and they're healthier too. They've got like actual fiber and stuff in them outside of America. Yeah. American snacks are terrible for you. They're delicious though. I'm still gonna buy them en masse, but
yeah, we used to fight over those. Good times.
That's crazy. Okay, so where is your favorite place to write?
Favorite? Honestly, I like write this. Like, this is my writing space, and I love it here because shout out to Ben. I talk about him a lot in hindsight. He built me this keyboard, and it's custom.
Nice.
So I have like this custom mechanical keyboard here, and then I have like this extra wide monitor that's curved so that I can have everything up at one time. And he also got me like these lights so that I can stay focused. So it's like the perfect little writing space.
Nice. I feel very honored that you have invited us into your writing space. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I have had so much fun with this conversation. Y'all have no idea. Y'all have no idea.
Well, moving into book 2 talk. But before I do that, Brittany, do you have any burning questions?
Oh, I think the only thing we didn't cover. So the map in book 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very creative map. For anybody who hasn't seen the map, this is a very creative map. Like the way that it's broken down, it actually,
Agreed.
if you look at the map before you read the book or look at the map while you're reading the book, their locations make so much more sense when they're describing like what they have to go through. So if you haven't checked out the map, like go look at the map. Because I personally love a good map. I feel like more fantasy books need to put maps in there because I'm already trying to create this fantasy world that you're giving me. So at least give me a visual to like, to put them in location. So yeah, I don't really have a question. Well, kind of. Did you create this map on your own? Was this something that was like inspired by another map? Like, because the way that even the sections are separated is very interesting. And then how each of the areas are named and everything.
It was very intentional. And I guess since Ben is listening to this, if he can bring me my notebook that's on the kitchen table, I can show you kind of how it started. But basically the map just came from, okay, I know that they're traveling around this world, right? And I really wanted to be able to like show people like, how do I put this accurately without sounding disrespectful? I just wanted a map that was going to like function as a map. I didn't want to just send it to readers and be like, this is what the landmass looks like. Yeah. I wanted it to be functional. Thank you, babe. I wanted it to be functional. So I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have it so that whenever they go to a different place, it's going to be numbered, because naming stuff, I was like, I'm not naming all these cities. That's impossible.
I do like the numbers though. The numbers help.
Yes.
And so I was like, the map itself, when we created it, at first I reached out to my cover artist and I was like, hey, do you think that you could like make me a map to go along with it? And she's like, sure, what's it going to look like? And I was like this.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Shout out to you, because some people give, like when they reach out to the artist to draw something, they be sending them some real crazy sketches. Yours is very detailed.
Yes.
I was like, I know exactly what it looks like. And
oh my gosh.
The issue that we ran into was getting the numbers on there and making it so that like when they're going from like fragments, what is her thing? 42315?
I know they go from like a 4 to a 2, I think.
Yeah. We're not going to get to the numbers because I don't remember them right now. But when I knew that they were going across the realm or whatever, I knew that I wanted the map itself to actually you be able to take it out and like look at it and be like, okay, this is where they're at and this is where they're going. So it was important for me for it to be in color. And then it was really important for me to actually have the numbers on there and not just be like, this is the mass, like as a whole. So anyway, to continue on with the story, I reached out to my cover artist and she was like, yes, I got you, but she had a lot of life things going on, so I didn't get a finished product in time. So it was a long weekend. I was stressed out because I was doing edits and I was like, I don't know what to do. I have like a week and I gotta get it done. And then Ben was like, hey, chill. I got you. So I paid for Incarnate, which is like $5 a month. And then he watched like 15 hours of YouTube videos on 2x speed over the weekend. And while I was like crying over my edits, he was just watching YouTube videos and he was like, hey, so you said it's supposed to look like this, but can we do something like this? And he's like, so where's the water? Like, how are they getting water? And so it was just like a collaborative effort. I was on my computer, he was on his computer, and he just like banged out the map. So the map that you have in the book, Ben actually created over a weekend, because
that is insanity.
That's awesome. Good job, Ben. I love the map.
No, that's incredible.
So,
Wow.
and hopefully for book 2, there will be another newer map that'll be more specific to what's happening in book 2. So,
Perfect segue, because now we're going to talk
Wow.
about book 2 before we wrap everything up. And I will just say, while we're talking about book 2, we will not be spoiling book 1, obviously. For those that have still not read it, which you need to get started because our book talk is coming up. And also, I will open up the chat for questions. So if you have any questions for Chelsea, put them in the chat and we'll answer those at the end. Okay, so book 2. I don't want you to give anything away. I just want you to tell us the businessy stuff, like when it comes out. Can we pre-order it? Do you have the same cover artist? I know Brittany wants to know.
Oh, I already know all that, but tell them.
Yeah,
okay.
stuff like that.
Okay, so the sequel is We Are Dying Gods, and it does have the same cover artist. You can see the cover now on any of my social media platforms. I posted it everywhere. The easiest way to pre-order it, it is available anywhere that you get books from. So it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all that good stuff. But I sell my books direct, so I always recommend that you go to my website and pre-order because it'll be basically the same price, but it'll be a signed edition and it'll come with an in-color map that we've already talked about. And as far as We Are Dying Gods specifically is concerned, all of the pre-order versions are up on my website. So whatever version you like. So if you got the hardback of We Are the Origin and you like, I want the hardback to go on it, on my shelf next to it, or you got the paperback, you can get whichever version makes you happy. I wanted to, indie author, she can do what she wants. I want to release them at the same time so that you wouldn't have to wait, be like, oh, the hardback came out first, I'll have to wait a year for the paperback, or vice versa. The ebook is also on my website. The ebook is the same price as it is across platform. So, and it is, if you purchase it from me, you can still put it onto your Kindle or whatever reading device that you like. So you don't have to worry like, oh, I want to get it from Amazon because I want to be able to put it on my Kindle. I got you, baby doll. Just link works the same. And I'm also doing a pre-order box for We Are Dying Gods, which I'm really excited about. So it's a hardback and it's going to have something special underneath the cover. Because I don't know, I feel like that's fun. I feel like it's
love special edition books over here. So yeah.
Brittany's just in heaven.
Oh, I'm living a great life.
I'm working with another Black business who creates candles, Mindset Crafting, to have a unique candle in the box. So it'll be a specific scent from book 2. It will also have the original map, the map that I'm hoping to create specifically for book 2. It'll also have a bookmark, some stickers, and some custom pre-order art that my cover artist is currently working on. So yeah. It'll also come with the ebook because I know some people get the hardback and they're like, I don't want to break the spine. So, and I also want it to be, so like if you pre-order the box, like I can't send it out until after the release date. So it'll still be like, oh, you'll still be able to read the book when everybody else is able to read the book. So yeah.
2 follow-up questions. 1, the release date. 2, will there be an audiobook?
Okay. Release date is August 29th. That date is really special because my co-host for the Melanin Chat, Audra Russell, she's also like one of my greatest friends. I love her so much. That's also her birthday. And so she was like, for my birthday this year, I want you to release your book. And I was like, okay. She's indie, so she can do what she wants.
Your support system is amazing.
It's incredible.
Jeez.
And the follow-up question, audiobook. I don't know if there's going to be an audiobook for We Are Dying Gods, only because she's indie, she can do what she wants, but also she has to pay for everything. So, and because I like to, I don't say I'm a control freak, but I just like to like know that I own something and no one can tell me like, oh, it has to be on this platform. It has to be distributed this way. You don't have a say in what we do with like your creative product. I don't like to go through ACX because you have to commit to like a 7 to 10 year like exclusivity clause. And I'm like, no. But also because the book comes out in so many formats already, with We Are the Origin, I just haven't seen a return on the audiobook just yet. So I can't say for sure that there's going to be an audiobook for We Are Dying Gods unless I do it myself. And I don't know about
Gotcha.
that because, we went through all the things that I do. I ain't got time. So
Yeah, that's a lot.
Listen, apparently you say that and then you take on another hat. So in a way, I hear you, but I won't be surprised if it comes out that there's an audiobook narrated by you for the second book. I won't be surprised. You say that.
maybe I could do like a Kickstarter and be like, have it like professionally like audio narrated. Like,
honestly, yeah. The book community loves Kickstarters.
They do. They do
Yeah.
love a good Kickstarter. Absolutely. Now, what was the writing process like for book 2? Was it similar to book 1? Did you find writing it quicker, slower? What was that like?
I can definitely say that they were completely different processes, because with book 1, there was just so much unknown going into it. At first, all I knew was Brandy. Like, she was the first thing that came to me. I was like, I knew I had Brandy. I knew that I had Jack, period. That was it. And then as I kind of went along, different aspects of the story came to me. And at first I thought I was going to be a dystopian. That didn't work out. And then the gods came to me and I was like, oh, this is an aspect. And then that kind of brought an entirely new element to the book that wasn't there before. So with Where the Origin, it was a lot more like discovery, like, where are we going with this? What is this journey that they're on? And I kind of figured it out as I was writing it, in a sense. And then when I was at the end, I was like, oh, okay, this is what it is. And then when I went back and edited, that's kind of when it really came together as like a whole. But I also had nothing but time with We Are the Origin, because it's just like, I don't have to set a release date until it's done, until it's ready, until I feel like I can handle this. We Are Dying Gods, I could have taken that same approach, but I was just like, I don't want people. I know where I left people off on book 1. I did not want to be that author that was just like, okay, I left you off on a cliffhanger and it's going to take another 3 years before you get the second book.
My soul would have died.
I didn't want to be that person. So I was just like, book 1 came out in June. I was just like, book 2 is coming out in August. So around that same time, accounting for, the learning curve that I actually figured out from some of the mistakes I made with book 1, which was, oh, you should probably have an editor before you announce the release date. That kind of helps.
Yeah. That's funny.
See that.
So book 2.
Yeah. No, go ahead, please.
Book 2 it has been so much more like linear in just the way that I've been creating it. So being able to sit down and be like, okay, I need to write, 1,200 words today. I need to write 3,000 words today. I had days where I was like writing 5,000 words and I was just like, okay, cool, I got this. And being able to more clearly define, like, this is where this scene needs to stop. This is what needs to happen. This is where Sarah's perspective needs to come in, just because book 1 has already laid a lot of the groundwork. So I know how book 2 is going to flow. So that's not something that I have to figure out now. Now I'm just kind of like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I know how it's going to end. Sorry, and ahead of time. And I know that wait a minute. in the center. So I was just like, we're good. That's why I was like, when we started, I have like 7 scenes left. I would not have been able to tell you that for book 1. It was just kind of like, it's going to end when it's going to end. But I know that book 2 is probably going to be like somewhere like around 110 words. And I know where it's going to end off. It's going to be fun, but I'm also apologizing in advance.
Great. Okay, so we have
to destroy me, so it's okay.
We have another book after book 2. We've heard it here.
Yes. There's definitely going to be a book 2, and there's definitely going to be a book 3.
Okay. Now, Ben.
I'm gonna say that's like Ben told us to ask you.
Yeah.
What scene did you write last in the book?
We kind of have to.
Ask her what scene she wrote last in the book. It will surprise you. Which one are you talking about, Benjamin? See, it's not fair because he lives with me. So I'm like, I've written like 10 scenes in the last week. So I'm like, which one is the last one? The one I wrote today, I haven't talked about. So I'm assuming the one that I wrote the other day.
That I really like that Ben is kind of a third host.
I'm loving it.
Kind of love it.
No, for book 1. For book 1.
What I don't know what he's talking about. I honestly don't. What?
The last scene that you wrote in book 1.
Oh.
It all becomes clear.
So
We want to know.
Okay, so when I was writing We Are the Origin, there are some things that came out of sync, and I will say this: I had an editor at the time. One of my author friends recommended me to him. He had time in his schedule, so I worked with him, and he's really great, but he was not necessarily great for me. And he had a couple of suggestions in the book. And you remember when I mentioned that I was over there? I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was from some of his suggestions. And I was like, I don't know if I have time to like completely rework the book the way that he's suggesting. I didn't. So anyway, one of the things that he suggested was that I cut one of the last scenes that I added to the book. And Brittany, you've read the book completely.
Yes.
Something that y'all need to know just about me in general. When I don't outline my books like that, so I know what happens at the beginning and I know what happens at the end. I have no idea what happens in the middle. I just know when you get from point A to point B. It's like driving from New York to California with absolutely no map. And you're just like, I just need to keep going west and I will get there.
Okay.
That's kind of what my writing process is like. So everything between them leaving meeting Sarah in Asari's domain all the way to Lyndall's domain, everything that happened in Karna's domain was completely random. I had no idea what was happening.
Okay.
That's incredible.
That's really interesting considering what happens. I'm like, oh.
So you kind of, the
Okay.
story kind of unfolds in front of you as you go along. It's like the characters kind of show you the story as you're writing it.
Yes.
It seems like. Okay, that's kind of
And
cool.
it's just kind of like I know that certain things have to happen. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this. Like I know that they're doing it for a reason, but sometimes I'm getting better at it as I write more. I don't always know. But to the point, there's a character who's introduced in Karna's domain, and her name is Tara. And I love Tara. She has a great personality.
She's one of my favorite characters in the book.
She did not exist originally. Only her brother existed. And I was just like, I don't know what I was going through, but I was just like, nah, bump that. We're gonna have intelligent girls. I'm not making a man an engineer in this book because we have a matriarchy.
Yeah,
girls are empowered. Right? And the scene towards the end of their visit to their house, Brandy makes a couple of people past tense while she's there, and she's helping Tara out, and Tara's just like, oh crap, I don't know if I'm in love with you or terrified. And Brandy's just kind of like, yeah, don't tell Jack that you're in love with me. That might not end well. And they're just like having this really like heart-to-heart conversation. And she has a couple of lines in there.
Bars. Bars.
I'm getting excited.
I felt those in my spirit. Like it was one of those things, like if it was a person in real life, I would have stood up and did the whole like shout thing, like, yes.
Okay, don't give the lines away.
I'm not, but
that was the last scene that I wrote for We Are the Origin.
That's
because
hilarious.
I knew that after I finished the book and I went back and did edits, I was like, I like Tara. I want her to be in book 2. So I was like, we need to lay the groundwork for this friendship in book 1. And so she is definitely she's showing up in book 2. Pine is showing up in book 2. They're basically all the characters who were introduced who didn't get a whole lot of screen time in book 1 are in book 2. And I'm gonna tell you right now, in book 2, there's a scene with Noble and Pine and Sarah, and it cracks me up. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts when it comes to Noble and Sarah. So like I'm cool with this too. So
I just want to know, are you for Noble and Sarah or are you against Noble and Sarah?
I'm 1,000% against.
Okay.
But not because of Noble.
You know what? We kindred spirit.
It's like, I'm holding all of my thoughts about each character because I wrote down my thoughts for each character as they
Save
were
it, girl. Save it for the book.
When we talk about the book, I'm going to talk about each character, and like Noble is not the character that I disliked, like at all, despite how he was written. I was like, he sounds real nice to me, but okay. This might be a toxic trait because I think Noble sounds great.
I mean,
Oh
Noble's
my
a great
gosh.
guy.
Yeah.
Noble is here for a good time, not a long time. That's all I have
And
to
you know,
say.
sometimes we need nobles in our lives. So
Yeah.
yeah.
As I like to say on all my other platforms, Noble is not a bad guy. He is just a fountain, and everyone who is thirsty may have a drink.
Is he a fuckboy?
Exactly that.
I love
Yes.
me a good fuckboy character. I'm so
The
excited.
saddest part about it is it's like you know he's a fuckboy, but he reads so fine. So like even reading it, you're like, I feel like I could probably ignore all of the red flags I also just read in the last page.
He does not have a single green flag.
Yeah,
He's a walking red
like
crayon.
every
But it's
description
fine.
of him is literally like he is the worst.
I
But
know he was.
also he sounds real fine.
I know he was a really
So-
fun character to write. That sounds like a good time.
He was. And one of my anime things that I got to like work in there is that he has like a sister complex. So he's just like, absolutely, he's like overprotective of Brandy to the point where she's like, I will 100% off you, bruh. Why are
very
you
Demon
here?
Slayer, actually.
But also, he's like, yeah, she good. What's up? What
Yeah.
you doing?
It's like he really does switch. He has two sides.
Yeah.
One side it's like, I will ride for Brandy, I will die for Brandy. The other side's like, but what up though? Like,
But like, what you doing tonight though?
I love it.
Like
Again,
he's 100% that person will send you the you up message. Like,
yes.
Mhm. That's
But
incredible.
what you doing? Or it's like, oh, I'm gonna plan something big, and his plan something big is come over and chill.
Yeah.
That's noble.
Yeah.
come over and chill. It doesn't even have pizza. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
noble. But then
He's
he
just
would
wearing gray
buy
sweatpants.
the pizza.
yeah.
And I would buy the pizza.
It's just like it's cool. I'll swing back and go get some McDonald's.
Right.
It's fine.
That's how he reads.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I will say this, he continues to be his full self in book 2.
Oh, I love that for him.
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too.
Oh my gosh.
He's slowly working his way to my bay list. Like, you know how we have book bays?
Mhm.
But like there's the book bays that are like obviously supposed to be book bay. And then there's the other list where it's like, I'm fully aware that he's problematic, but he's still book bay.
yeah.
Slowly working his way over to that list. It's like when I read the book, I was like, again, I'm fully aware that what he just did was so rude. Like if he would have done this to me, I would have had to fight him on site. But also he's still reading very attractive to me, and visually I have this picture of this beautiful Adonis looking man, so I'm gonna just move him over to this list.
I will say this. You should definitely read the limited edition.
Oh, I'm excited. I was like, because you guys know I've been indoctrinated and forced to read romance because of being in this book club.
Wow, Brittany.
Not
Wow.
indoctrinated.
It's a running joke at this point. It's like I used to
Wow.
say that I didn't read romance at all, but because of this book
Really?
club, I obviously read romance now.
Brittany.
So it's like I can read books with actual scenes, and I'm like, this does not make me roll my eyes immediately anymore. Also, I realize because the characters read very attractive, that like any moment where they're showing any type of romantic interest, it like reads better in my mind because I'm visualizing beautiful people.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, get yours.
Brittany, you know you enjoy romance now.
Again, I can read romance authors of a specific variety who like to highlight Black love and give me fine men to fantasize about. I could read them.
Have you read D.L. White?
Wait, is that an author?
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever heard of this author. What's her name?
D.L. White. She has
Oh, D.L. White. Yes.
Yes.
For some reason, I
hopefully
thought
has.
I
have a
read
list
those
of books I need
two-
to get through.
2 letters as one word, but yes, D.L. White. I have read D.L. White. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I know she's got some. I'm trying to think. I'm running. My brain is. I don't read a lot of romance. I read fantasy. So, that's another reason why I did not continue talking about keeping promises because, yeah, I'm be real with y'all. Black romance girlies on the internet scare me.
Why?
I'm not built for it. Gotta be intense.
You know what? Before meeting Oshale and Troy Nicole, I felt the same way. Like, I just felt like the romance girlies were like on a, like, it was like I knew I was a fantasy girl and I was gonna stay in my fantasy lane. Because for some reason the romance girlies just, they were always on a different level to me.
Y'all always ready to tussle.
Look,
and I'm like,
we
man,
just have a lot of passion. Okay.
I'm not
Listen,
I'm
we
not
have
faulting you
passion,
for it.
but
I'm
it's
gonna just
like
stay in my
dragons
lane.
and phoenixes.
Oh my God. I understand. It can be overwhelming for sure. And all the different terminology, and it's a lot. So it's
That's not even
understandable.
that. Y'all be ready to quote tweet, subtweet, be like,
Yep.
we don't talk to this person no more. And I'm like, oh snap. That escalated quickly.
See, I don't involve myself in the mess. I'm just here for the books. Period.
I can vibe with that. But yeah, I see some of that stuff on Twitter and on TikTok. I was like, oh.
It's
Y'all
a
know
lot.
the GIF with the popcorn.
Anymore, but I enjoy
Yeah, it's a
reading
lot.
like the TikTok drama. I be sitting there like, well, all right, book talk, drag each other. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah.
I have no input in this.
There are
Black
a
Prose
lot
does
of, like,
not have a book talk.
there are a lot of irresponsible takes to me. And at the end of the day, I want to be like, y'all need to relax. Everyone needs to take an Ambien. Like, just chill out. Like, go on a date instead of just reading about it. Like, we need to do something else.
It's like maybe we should, I don't know, read the books.
That too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy the genre immensely, but I don't get involved with all the drama.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to argue with people about why I like what I like. I'm also not about to argue with people about why something's fictional and why they shouldn't be dragging that into the geopolitical realm like we're in the real world. Like, I'm not about to argue with you about that. Like, we're not doing that. No.
Yeah. I can
And
respect
this is
that.
why most of the books I read don't even exist in this world. So
That's why I don't write them in this world. Y'all got
There
a
you
lot of
go.
rules.
yeah, it's like, nah, I want to go to another world, thanks, where there's a super chocolate girl with green eyes. I'll take that.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So yes. So if you haven't caught on yet, you probably should pick up the book. There are many ways that you can read this book. There's also an audiobook for
There is
this
an
book.
audiobook.
There are
Produced
plenty of
by
ways
a Black
to read
company.
this.
Audiobooks produced by a Black company with a Black audio narrator as well.
I love it.
Reads in a way that made me very clear that I was reading from a different aspect of a different character without the pause. And I've never heard God sound ethereal in an audiobook until this book.
I'm so glad that you appreciate that, because I really reached out to my audio engineer and I was like, okay, so these are gods, and like this is bolded and italicized in the book to make it clear. So I'm like, can you do the equivalent of that with sound?
Yeah, because I was like, the first time, because I was listening to it at work and then reading at home, and I was at my desk and I'm typing and I'm like, wait, I was like, not her trying to sound like a sexy goddess. Okay. And like all of their, like, it was like, oh, regular, but then hello. I was like, okay, book come through.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. That really makes my little heart happy. It does.
Oh, yeah, no. One of my friends has already sent me a message. I was like, dude, you didn't tell me that I was going to get like God voices. Like, now I kind of feel like all the other books that didn't do God voices cheated me. Like facts, because how many fantasy books got gods and they just sound normal?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They sound regular, mad regular.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. But we just want to take this moment to say thank you so much for taking time out of your clearly busy schedule to come sit and chat with us. It's been great. So glad we picked your book as the first book of the year. And
how can we support you? Like, how can we all support you in your endeavors? Like,
honestly, just read the book and tell people about it. Evangelizing is always the best way. It's literally the thing that, of all the things that I do, that's something that I can't do myself. I have to rely on other people because, obviously y'all read books. It means more when someone else tells you to read a book than if the author themselves tells you to read the book.
Very true.
So read the book, evangelize, and check out my podcast, YouTube channel, use the Melanin Library, tell someone about the Melanin Library, and buy the book for me if you're going to purchase it. And if you're not, that's cool. Just request it from your local library because that's basically the same thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Normal stuff, I guess.
You can find the links to every single thing she has mentioned in the description box already because I already put it there. So literally,
and Ben said I had a Patreon.
Click a link,
Yes.
and you should be good. Oh, I also included her Patreon. So again, check the description box. Click on all the links. You don't have any more special editions left. They've been bought while this conversation is happening.
Hey, that's how we do. That's wonderful. I'll send it out tomorrow. Love going to the post office. It's great.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it's like I just love to see it. No, we both me and Read, Love, Listen, we're like, well, we're buying those, so it's cool. Let me think. Is there anything else? Oh yeah. Also on your YouTube channel, you do writing sprints and stuff as well, and your podcast. So if you want to check out the podcast from the YouTube perspective, it's on her YouTube channel as well. Which again, YouTube channel linked in the description box.
Yes.
So
yes. And Brittany, you wanted to Ben had a question about the book talk. So you want to do that announcement real quick?
Oh, thank you. I had to think. I was like, which one? So if you want to come back for our Q1 book chat, because despite popular belief, we actually are a book club. We just have lives, so we don't have time to read every month, but we read once a quarter. So that conversation will actually be happening on Saturday, March 25th. Wait a minute. I did not pull up calendars this time. There we go. March 25th. And we were actually having this will be a nighttime conversation. So if you want to come chill with us on March 25th, I think it is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. You can come chat with us. We'll be breaking down the book. We'll be talking about the characters.
You have 12 days to purchase and read this book if you have not started. Thank you.
Or go to the library and get it. Either way, come join the conversation. We've got lots to talk about. That's all I can say. I mean, I feel like if you didn't understand that there were already parts to talk about in this conversation, you're missing things, and it's okay, but get it together because we do have a good conversation coming.
It's going to be a good time. Wear your pajamas, bring your libations and your snacks.
She said libations. I love it.
Yeah, she said libations.
Word. I feel like nobody uses that word anymore, and we need to bring it back.
It just sounds really fancy. It's like
it does.
Libations.
Libations. I wasn't ready.
Right.
Oh man.
Yes. Well, while you guys are here, we have one more announcement. So while we're thanking Chelsea, we also need to remind you guys that Throwback-a-thon is coming back. Yay! Throwback-a-thon is our annual readathon that just kind of takes us back to when we were young kids reading. And every year we spend a week rereading books from our childhood based off of different reading prompts. Last year, our theme was the Scholastic Book Fair.
That was a good time.
Which was great and super fun.
Yes.
We got our whole lives.
Our whole lives.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's only fair that we tell you guys that this year, the theme for Throwback-a-thon is Kids' Choice Awards.
Yes.
Hey. So you're going to have to check us out. Don't worry, we have a full informational video coming to you guys within the next week. But we wanted to let you guys know, mark your calendars, Throwback-a-thon is coming back. And we're very excited for the theme. I ate those graphics up, so I can't wait for you guys to see them.
They're incredible. All right, so we're going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been such an amazing conversation. And if you don't mind, we will definitely be bothering you again to return.
Please do. This has been so great.
We're going to have to talk about book 2, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Not about it. And August is not that far away. So we may have to bother you to have you come back if you don't mind. But thank you so much for joining us. It was truly an honor. And it was incredible, all of your advice, your experience, your lived experience, your writing, and it's so inspirational. And we're so excited to be a part of what you're doing, and we're excited to continue to support you. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
love it. We love to
Thank
see
you guys
it.
so much for having me.
We're
This was
rooting for
great.
everybody Black.
Yes.
Stay beautiful, stay Black, read Black. We out.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.